Hello there ladies and gents, welcome to today's video. My name is Marcos Aguirre. In today's video I'm going to review, document, and attempt to sound demo this beautiful instrument. This is an ESP-LTD FL-204 bass. Let's get right into the specs and features of this cool instrument. Out of the factory, these basses came with an LTD BB604 bridge, an ESP designed SB4 pickup, an ESP designed ATB1 active tone boost, a mahogany body, a satin white finish with black flames. On this side we have a rosewood fingerboard on a maple neck, 24 extra jumbo frets, a 34-inch scale length, what I believe to be pearloid inlays, although they luster as if they were made out of some gemstone, a 40mm width nut, and black hardware. Looking at the back of the headstock, we can see that this bass comes with LTD branded tuners. It has the artist signature there and the Made in China stamp. The back of the neck is painted in satin white, as is the back of the bass itself. This bass is bolt-on construction, so we have our screws there and some nice contours that make playing just a little more comfortable. Those contours are also present on top of the bass as well as a little bit on the bottom. This bass has two paneled cavities on the back, one for the electronics and one for the battery for the active tone boost. Lastly, this bass is string-through construction. Here's a closer shot of the rosewood fingerboard, which looks to be a very good quality fingerboard with no signs of cracking or damage or anything of that nature. And on the side we just have the typical dot fret markers. I couldn't find anything concrete as to what these inlays were made out of. Because this bass is the more affordable version of a custom shop ESP bass, I assume that these inlays were made out of some pearloid acrylic. However, they do seem to luster, which, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if LTD snuck in some mother of pearl for these instruments, but I just thought that was peculiar and worth mentioning. As far as QC goes, this bass does have a little bit of a pocket on the neck joint there on top and a small chip on the bottom. Besides that and some residual fret glue, this bass was pretty much perfect out of the box, and those things did not affect playability or tuning stability whatsoever. I bought this bass as new old stock about 3 years ago, and all the footage you guys are seeing is from around that time frame, but I dragged my feet at making this video because I was occupied with the university classes and all that. As of this video coming out, I have already sold this instrument. Not because it wasn't a great bass or anything like that, but because I already have my Henkel Blacksmith signature bass and don't play or practice bass enough to justify having two of them. So you ladies and gents might be wondering, well, why did I buy this bass at all? Well, as you may or may not know, I used to be a huge Dragonforce fan before they became a gimmicky band. And this is Frédéric Leclercq's signature bass from his time in Dragonforce. Of course, now he plays with Kreator and he's got a new signature bass, but I will always associate this bass with Dragonforce's original lineup and the first times that I saw them play. As a little side note, I've actually had the pleasure of meeting Fred a few times, and he's a super cool guy, so that gave me a little more incentive to get this bass just to try it out. But I digress. The LTD 600 version of this bass is black with red flames, which looks really cool. The main differences between this bass and it is that the 600 series bass has neck-through construction, an ebony fretboard, active EMG electronics, and Grover tuners. Lastly, the 600 series bass is made in Korea versus these 204 models are made in China, but these are still awesome bass guitars. As of this video coming out, these particular basses have been discontinued. Again, Frédéric has a new signature bass, and that's basically the only signature bass of his that's in production. So these are rare finds, and I was lucky enough to find this particular bass as, again, new old stock, so I got it right out of the box, and I had an awesome experience with it, as is often the case with anything ESP/LTD related. If you guys are wondering, I bought this bass for $360 US and sold it for $400. After shipping and fees and all that, I didn't make any profit, but it was just an awesome experience to have owned this bass. Alright ladies and gents, let's get into the tone test demo. Keep in mind, I'm not primarily a bass player, and I had a shitty setup when I recorded this tone demo, so I'm just going to embarrass myself for a few minutes and then we'll talk more about this cool bass. Right, ladies and gents, enough of me embarrassing myself with that tone demo. This bass does feel great to play and hold. It's very easy to transition from playing guitar to playing this bass, and I believe that was designed on purpose because Fred was a guitar player before he picked up bass. This bass guitar also feels great to hold because it's lightweight and has no neck dive. The tuning stability is also excellent, so even though the hardware is just LTD branded, it's not cheap in how it functions. This instrument also looks very cool. The whole black and white aesthetic of it reminds me of like Star Wars Stormtroopers. And I think LTD did a great job of differentiating this bass from all the other B-style basses that they have. This bass also sounds very good, and take that with a grain of salt because again, I'm not primarily a bass player, but for example, for the tone demo of this video, at that time I only had a shitty bass amp, and the active electronics in this bass are what made it sound not terrible. All right, ladies and gents, so final thoughts and rating for this bass guitar. In terms of aesthetics, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's got a very cool aesthetic, and I think LTD did a great job of making a unique instrument for an artist versus just sticking the artist signature on the headstock of a pre-existing instrument model and calling it a day. In terms of construction, I give this bass guitar an 8.5 out of 10, so it does have a few QC things here and there, but overall it's a very well made instrument and it'll last you a long time if you take good care of it. In terms of hardware, I give this instrument an 8.5 out of 10, so the hardware, although it's just LTD branded, functions very well, and even has some details that you wouldn't expect from a 200 series instrument. For example, this instrument has two knobs, one for volume and one for tone. The volume knob is just your standard black color, but the tone knob is satin finish so as to complement the finish of the body. In terms of feel and playability, I give this instrument an 8.5 out of 10. Again, no complaints from me. It was very easy to play. It was very easy for me to transition from playing guitar to playing this bass. So again, 8.5 out of 10. Lastly, in terms of electronics, I give this instrument an 8.5 out of 10. So even though they're ESP/LTD designed, they sound very good. You wouldn't expect active electronics or an active tone boost out of a 200 series instrument. This, in addition to some of the things I've already mentioned in this video, make me think that LTD went as hard as they could for a 200 series instrument for this model, which I think is awesome and should be done more often. That's also why I said I wouldn't be surprised if LTD snuck in some mother of pearl for the inlay material of this instrument. Overall, this is an excellent bass guitar, especially for the price they used to go for when they were still in production, which was around what I paid for it. Alright, ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns regarding this cool instrument, put them in the comment section of this video. Besides that, you guys stay safe and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.